Peace, blessings, and salutations. My name is Yurima Karama, coming to you again with another segment of Voices from Behind the Wall. Before I get into this particular segment, I want to give out thanks and respect for all the support that you've lended, for all the people that have inboxed me with suggestions concerning upcoming segments. I will touch on those. I told you I wanted to make these new segments. I wanted to make them much more to key in on specific individuals or specific individual things that have happened or are still happening with our brothers and sisters that are still doing time behind the wall. So I want to tap into that, but I did want to give you my thanks. It's always much gratitude, and we're going to keep this thing going. So in this particular segment, I wanted to talk about the medical treatment that we receive behind the wall. It's very limited. In some cases, you don't get any. Case in point, this brother right here. This is a brother by the name of Stafford Hilaire. Stafford was actually a gentleman that I met in Duluth camp when I was close to getting closer to my release date. I met this gentleman, very articulate, very well spoken, just a great conversation. So I met this gentleman, and his case is he was living in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. If I remember correctly, he was actually, I think, from the Caribbean originally. Had some daughters. He himself is an attorney or was an attorney, and I believe he had some daughters who were aspiring to be attorneys as well. Comes from a very affluent background, very affluent family. So he and I used to talk and got along great. I'm the type of guy, especially when you're just a guy as I had been in so long. So when you get a gentleman like this coming in, you kind of pick their brain, what's kind of going on, especially one who's got a little bit more education, saw a little bit something other than the street life. He was actually on the other side of that. So Stafford came in with a 32-month sentence, and what was unique to begin with about his case was that he was in on a mortgage fraud case. And it was him and a bunch of other people. I think it was like 32, 38 people involved in the case. But what was funny about his case is that, and I always found it mind-boggling, he was found guilty by a jury. Went to trial. Jurors found him guilty. Judge overturned the guilty verdict by the jury and acquitted him of the charges. The 10th Circuit Court of Appeals turned around about 18 months later and reinstated the guilty verdict. Now, I don't know. I'm not that astute as far as the intricate details of that particular case law. I assume that the appellate court was I assume that the appellate court, and we know what assuming does, but I have to think that maybe the reasoning behind them coming behind the judge was saying that, hey, once the jury's spoken, they've spoken. But I also do know that the judge he's got a lot of leeway, which is why he's a judge. So I think for a judge being able to overturn a conviction or a sentence set down by a jury, it seems to me like he would be able to do that. So, but anyway, this judge overturned it. The jury found him guilty. Judge overturned it, acquitted him, and then the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals came back about 18 months later and reinstated the guilty verdict, reinstated the 32-month sentence. So henceforth, now I meet him in Duluth. We're walking around. We're talking. As a matter of fact, at that time, I worked in the education department. Stafford was always in the education department. So his daughters used to come up and visit him. Those were kind of some of the discussions that we would have. How, him coming off a visit, how, it was so good seeing his family who would fly in from Colorado. So he had a 32-month sentence, a 2-year supervised release to do afterwards, along with a $397,000 fine. Uh, and I told you before, I think, in the last segment about the restitution, uh, they give out restitution. A small group of people can actually afford it. The majority can't. He might have actually been in the group that could, but I'm not certain. But anyway, the reason that this segment is so pertinent because we're talking about the medical department. Stafford had been complaining about, he had been to the medical department there at Duluth on a few different occasions, complaining about headaches, migraines, and their resolve was always to, give some type of Motrin, some type of, aspirin, whatever they gave him. But he started to complain about it a little bit more, and to my recollection, nothing was done. I know that I was walking the yard this particular day and got information that Stafford had passed. Apparently, that morning he had gotten up, head was hurting, went to the medical department, complaining, hey, this is continuing going on. And I guess their response was kind of like, hey, you've been complaining about this problem. Nothing is going on. Take these Motrin, go to work. You need to go to work. You've been complaining about this problem. We're not seeing anything. Now, what's funny about them saying they're not seeing anything is the fact that you hadn't run any tests on the man to see anything. So they complained they weren't seeing anything. Sent the gentleman to work. He had 32 months. That's less than 3 years time to do. As a matter of fact, I think he had a little bit over a year left to do. Was in the prime of his life, 59, 60 years old. And he didn't make it home to his family. When they sent him to work, it was about an hour later, he had a brain aneurysm and died. And this was the memoriam that they did for him at the chapel. R.I.P. That's what they did for him at the chapel before they sent his body home to his family for burial. I've seen a few of these cases. I just happened to have I saved that, and because I had that picture, because I want to try to put a face. I want to put a face to it. And this guy, he was an attorney by trade. I'm not sure if he was a real estate attorney, a civil attorney, but he was an attorney, a fluent guy. His affluence got him nowhere, though, when it came to the medical department in prison. And like I said, it's a few cases that I've witnessed like this, where, people go to the medical, and they continually go for the same issue. And it's in every case that I've seen, it's almost always that same response. It's like they get tired of seeing you, like you're faking. And then people end up dying. And I'm just hoping that this brother's, I'm hoping that his daughters filed a suit, civil suit, so they could get some money for malpractice. He definitely should have been taken to a hospital. He should have been examined by an outside physician or doctor. They just weren't well equipped, and they're not well equipped. And at the end of the day, they have to spend money to take you outside, and they try to avoid that. It's all about cutting cost, but they're cutting cost at the expense of our lives. So I just wanted to share that. This isn't an isolated case, like I said. This happens more often than you think. Now, is it happening every day? No, but um, there are too many cases where it has happened where it could have been prevented. These are preventable deaths. Preventable. They just don't care. My name is Yurima Karama, man. Voices from Behind the Wall. You can friend me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I also do hip hop. I perform live hip hop performances, spoken word poetry. If you want to know about my performance dates and locations, just go to my webpage, www.yurimakarama.com. That's YARIMAKARAMA. Peace, love, salutations. Until next time. One.